Alright, I did record, but I kind of didn't like the way it turned out. I'm gonna be Miss Negative Nancy again, and I'm gonna say kind of two things. And the first thing is, I've been looking for an on screen keyboard for Wayland, and I did not realize how much of a fucking problem that would be. Because Xorg has a lot of options for full keyboards that have all the special keys. You can manipulate a terminal with them. And this is very important for somebody that needs like a keyboard built into their screen. Say it's like somebody, the example I'm going to bring up is somebody with cerebral palsy that has a tablet and needs to be able to touch the tablet because it has bigger keys. That's a it's an important accessibility feature to have an on-screen keyboard. And I'm kind of sad to say that for Wayland, which is supposed to be being pushed as like standard now, we are way far behind, especially in this regard. Now, Gnome's got their own issues with accessibility. I'm not super familiar with them, but it has become an issue for this person where Gnome is very hard to control if you lack a lot of motor control, which is kind of really sad to see from Red Hat, especially in free desktop, because they claim that they while they withhold features, they do focus on accessibility, and I'm kind of not seeing that. Now, I'm gonna have to like make a separate video on everything wrong with this because it's gonna be a long interview, to figure out exactly what needs to be changed. But I'm obviously not the arbiter of the arbiter of change here. I kind of find it sort of embarrassing that, especially as Linux becomes more popular, we do have the largest contributor to the kernel kind of actively ignoring the needs of people with special accessibility needs, especially in GNOME, because uh, I mean, you kind of need these features nowadays. It's just something we got to deal with. Microsoft actually surprisingly has put a lot of effort into it, and they are actively hiring for those kind of positions for people to work on accessibility software. So I would like to see a change in Gnome's philosophy, Free Desktop's philosophy, Red Hat's philosophy to be kind of more accommodating for different use cases, because it's not always a cookie cutter solution. You do need to have features for people that maybe have special needs. And the main one we're going to talk about right now, because that's the topic of this video, is on-screen keyboards, because this has been a fucking nightmare. So on Xorg, there's plenty of options for a full on-screen keyboard. So if you were to need to like manipulate a terminal or something, you would be able to do it with an on-screen keyboard. Now on Wayland, you've got like three or four options, and two of them don't work. One of them doesn't work for this use case, and the other one actually doesn't work for this use case. So the first one we're going to talk about is Malite. Malite is the one that I got merged back into Bazite, and it is just a phone keyboard basically. It doesn't have a desktop mode for people on desktop. So, and despite being made for Linux phones, I'm like, why wouldn't you have a full keyboard? And supposedly because it's a framework, it should allow for that. But I haven't been able to find anybody that's developed a full keyboard on Malite. So that's kind of out of the picture. Squeakboard was the other option, and that one was the other one that was made for Linux phones. That one's supposed to have a full keyboard. However, if you try to run it on any distribution, like I saw on the Arch bug tracker, they marked it as not a bug, but basically it just fails to launch, and it says like no Wayland global something. It's missing some variable or something. I don't even know. Some like env or whatever. I couldn't figure out how to get it to launch, so that's kind of out too. There's onboard, which supposedly works on Wayland, but I wasn't able to get it working, so whatever. And there's GJK OSK or something. I can't even remember. One of those is what ships with GNOME. It was either onboard or GJK something, and that one kinda did not work well, because if you tried to run it on, like, let's say you had an application open, it would like cut off half the application and it would appear all squished and it wasn't usable. And I can't remember exactly which one that was. But Star Labs, the tablet that she got, actually ships their own keyboard, and um, it's made for Xorg, and I can kind of see why it's made for Xorg now. And I know Wayland's got issues, especially with applications taking control of other windows. So I'd imagine that a keyboard is fairly difficult to build for Wayland, but that it shouldn't be impossible, and that's because they obviously have made them. So I don't know if it's a difficulty with Wayland. I know a lot of projects could not offer Wayland support because it's just too fucking difficult to implement. So, but I do find it again kind of sad, especially from the GNOME developers, that they tried to be super inclusive. They try, and it's kind of for show. You know what I mean? It's like we want to be inclusive, but if it requires adding a feature to GNOME that maybe helps people with accessibility reasons, then we might not add it, you know? And I really do think it's sad to see. It's a very sad showing, especially as Wayland is being pushed as the new standard. But we're missing this basic shit. I mean, there's tons of computers out now that are 2-in-1s. I got a fucking Linux Mint on my 2-in-1, you know? And yeah, I've got a keyboard on it. I've got an on-screen keyboard because I can do that. It's a foldable, you know? So, but for for Wayland, I mean, I didn't realize it was such a problem because I hadn't used Wayland until just now, actually. Um, when I switched to KDE, you know, I haven't dealt with this before, and this is I'm hoping again within the next few years maybe we'll see some push in that direction, but right now it's another one of those negative things I gotta bring up. Is just that that's usually how I make my topics for my videos, is that I'll realize there's some bullshit going around. You know, either it's like a myth that people talk about that I want to dispel, or it's just some issue I've been having with Linux or something. They'll usually make a video on it. So I'm sorry if my videos come across as negative, but I do. It's a lot of stuff I can talk about because it's hard to find people that talk about these things, you know? Everybody's too busy talking about the fucking latest KDE release or fucking note taking software or some shit. And, I don't know a whole lot, but I like to think that even though I may come across as pretty misinformed, I try to keep everything within the realm of here's just what I'm experiencing and what other people are experiencing. So this may be something something to watch out for, you know. And this is that's just kind of sad to see from Red Hat, from Free Desktop, from GNOME, GTK, and all that we're not seeing. I mean, because people always talk about GNOME as being super touch centric. It's like, then where the fuck is their on screen keyboard? Why does it not work right? Why is it so garbage? You know? And I think I've gone on enough about that though. But yeah, Wayland, woohoo, the new standard. But oh, and the reason why we have to use Wayland for this, I forgot to mention because I recorded again, is uh, she needs Waydroid to run like Android applications because that she's trying to like replace an Android tablet with a Wayland session, basically like a full Linux tablet instead of using Termux for everything. So it is really again sad to see that like Android has better options for a keyboard than Linux does, you know. So I'm sure we'll start seeing options in the future, but right now it just kind of sucks, you know. All right, that's about it. Thanks.